What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar with C-Zar Gets Crypto, and we are looking at Bitcoin today, as per usual, man. A lot's happened. Since yesterday. I know I'm making a late video today comparatively, but yesterday, man, we we went up. We had a new high technically, and then we went down. And I want to say, I've been bearish, but I have hinted the past couple days that even before this, back when we had this rally up here or bouncing off the 50. I was saying that we could break this high and that we still probably would go lower from there. And we didn't. We didn't break the high. Not yet, but we did it here. I don't think anybody expected this. This, in my opinion, what you got here, I mean, literally, you got a bear trap right here. You got a bull trap right here. You got another bull trap right here. I mean, this could be a bear trap when we move up, but I don't think it is, man. I think price is just being wacky right now. We're at the top of the range. Faking out the bulls, faking out the bears, and one way or another, it's going to choose its direction. And when it does, we're going to get a more solidified move. And I think, looking at the 4-hour here, I think that this is starting to show a lot of weakness, right? You can see how before this, I'm going to use a vertical line actually. Come on now, not a horizontal. Come right there. All right. Before this area over here, from the right of the line to the left of the line, you were predominantly above the 50. Whereas now afterwards, you're actually predominantly below it. Anytime you get above the 50, it's very short-lived. Anytime you get below it, it's short-lived. This was when we were more moving up, right? Right, yeah. I guess we had a lower low here, but we were kind of overall on a closing basis moving up. Yeah. Now it looks like we're moving down. And you can see this because we're also having lower closes on the 4-hour. We've actually got one here. We closed below it. We came back up and closed right here. But I don't know, man. This 4-hour kind of looks bearish. We did bounce off of the oversold zone, which is a very, it's a good thing. It's not necessarily condemning for the bears. It doesn't mean that we're going to bounce all the way back up. It could mean that, we're just getting ready to go lower. Let's see. Like here, you bounced off the oversold, you went sideways for a little bit, and then went lower. And then that was it. You had your flush out, and then it was off to the races. Maybe we see something like that. Maybe we don't. I don't know. I'm not convinced that this is the low. I do think that we go lower for Bitcoin. And the main reason for that, man, beyond just the way that the 4-hour looks, is like this whole overall pattern just looks like a classic BART pattern, man. It just really does. And we're probably getting to the end of it. I did say, if you follow me on Twitter, twitter.com, we're going to go to it real quick. What is going on? Let's see. A close below 30K. So I posted this 14 hours ago, before the daily close. You can see the way that Bitcoin looked there. And the way that it looks now on a daily, right? It was green before, now it's red. I made a tweet that said a close below 30K would be indicative that BTC breaks out of this range to the downside. I didn't think that we would close it that day, but we actually did on this day. We closed at $29,899, $100 below 30K. And the reason I said this would be indicative is because it was lower. It was lower than this low here, and I just, 30K is a psychological number. I felt like that would make sense, and wouldn't you know it, on the same day we got the close, we also broke the high, so it's just doing wacky stuff right now. Bouncing from here wouldn't be a bad thing, for the bulls. Bouncing off the 50 would be a really good thing, actually, but again, for the bears, it's not necessarily condemning, but I don't know. You've got kind of conflicting indicators here. Bouncing off of this range would be really good, but you don't have to. The day, there's 19 hours left in the day. It's still young. This could turn around and be red, and if it is red, it's not going to look like a bounce anymore. It's going to look like a cross, and that would actually be very bearish. So kind of at a key point here. I know I said 30K would be indicative, and I think it is indicative that we're going to go to the downside, but also I would say a close where we get this RSI below the 50 would be further indications that we're going to go to the downside. The 4-hour, again, is showing weakness. We're below the 50 more than we are above it. We've got lower closes on the 4-hour basis. The candles they're bigger to the downside. The volume is bigger to the downside. any move to the upside, it gets given up very quickly. Where when we come from the downside up, it takes a lot more time. I don't know, man. I'm definitely bearish until we see prices probably below this purple line, which right now that's around 27.7K. I think once we get below there, that'll be an opportune time to buy some Bitcoin or go long on other cryptos. And how much farther below this purple line does it go? I don't know. Maybe it goes barely below it, and then turns around from there. Maybe it goes deeper below it or even deeper below it. You know, who really knows? I think it'll be this first one kind of right below it, honestly. Not as far below it as this range was over here. I think what I'm expecting at the moment is something closer to, again, on the bearish side, something like this, where we kind of battle it more so, not just like go straight through it and like give it up for a second. But we could, you know, we could go lower than what I'm anticipating. But at the moment, again, it's just slightly below 27.6, so probably around 27K, 27,100. And the reason I say that too is because from bottom to top of this range, and I am using this top, not this top, the 618's right there at 27.1, so that would be a perfect area to bottom. Bitcoin loves the 618, man. It's also at the topping range of this little thing here. If you take out this little bull trap, you know, the topping, and this was over the weekend, right? A long weekend, so this is like kind of fake price action in my opinion. You've got a topping range here right at the 618. It just makes sense. I think that we might go down there around 27K to 27.2, something like that. Probably below 27.1, honestly, probably. We could even go to 26.6K. It's not uncommon to hit the 0.69 after breaking through the 618. I very much doubt that we see extensions. I very much doubt that. Though we could, it's good to be aware of all that stuff, but I don't know. Looking at the volume, you are decreasing while you're in a range. This is classic, right? You see volume decrease while you're in a range. Once the volume starts to come back in, that's when you will choose your direction, whatever direction it is. And that kind of is how you'll know, how you verify that the move is legitimate more so, right? But you don't need that. You could make a move down here with lower levels of volume and then start building volume as you're coming back up. Like that's totally fine. I don't know, volume, I put a lot of weight on volume, man, and it's not a necessary thing, honestly. But it helps. It just helps to kind of verify, I would say. Verify that a move is real, right? You got a lot of people transacting it at the same price or like at various prices. It's like, okay, you know, it's not manipulation. It's there's a lot of volume going on here. Anyways, although you can have manipulation with a lot of volume too, but what is manipulation anyways? But looking at Bitcoin here on the weekly, looking at the RSI, looks like you're rolling over a little bit. Let's see if this is an area where you normally do. Let's put a line there, right there. You bounced off it here. You know, coming off of low points here, you had a little break. This is where you took your break back down to the 50 even. Let's see, bounced off it here. You know, coming off your lows, you took a little break and then you went higher. Bounced off it kind of right here too, coming off your lows. You took a little break and then you went higher. Yeah, found support on it here. I think this is a normal area to turn around. I think it just makes sense, man. It really does, because right now what you've got going on, you got a narrative in the crypto sphere, right? And the narrative is this: we're in a bull market. We are in a bull market. We are at the beginning of a bull market. It's a clear uptrend. You can't deny it. And then on the other side of that is we're not in a bull market. We're still in a bear market, right? We've got lower highs and lower lows, whatever. You know, we've yet to have a higher low. This could be a double top and send us all the way back down to 15K, right? It could be some kind of M pattern. I don't know, something like that. And there's a lot of bearish hope for this to be a double top, but I don't think it is a double top. And I think the further down we go, the more convincing it'll be for the bears, the more convinced they'll be. There's probably going to be some short sellers that come in once we close a week below like these areas here, and maybe we do, maybe we don't, but there's probably going to be some short sellers that come in and they're going to get eaten up, man. I think we are not double topping. I don't think this is a double top at all. I think we're in a position where if we come down, it can start to look like that, But you've got a wick here. You've held this range for 3 weeks now. I don't think this is, if it was a double top, you would have rejected already. But ultimately rejecting it still, kind of forming a double topish area. When we go higher, it's not going to look like that anymore. It's just going to look, it'll look like this. I wouldn't call a double top, though it is somewhat of a tweezer top. But I wouldn't call that a double top here, right? It's clearly not a double top here. Even though you did find resistance off it, the top was up here. And ultimately, the more that we look at this thing, the top isn't going to be here or here. It's going to be further up. But all that to say, I do think we go a little bit lower from here. And I do think that will influence the bears and the bulls a little bit. There's going to be some bulls, some weak hands that are going to think this is a double top as well, that were bullish, and they're going to panic sell right into all the people who are the strong hands buying down here. And I think it's very clear that the bulls are in control right now. The RSI shows it on the weekly. It shows it on the daily. I can't pull up the ribbon still, man. I'm fairly. Let me see. It just gives me. I don't know why it does that. I really don't. But the ribbon's bullish too on the weekly and on the daily. Big shit, man. Very big shit. So I'm not worried about Bitcoin. I do think it goes a little bit lower from here, but ultimately it's going to go higher. Things to watch for to prove that theory wrong. I guess a bounce off the 50 would be a nice start. You did just reject the overbought zone, not too long ago actually. So I'm not too, and with this candle, that's a very bearish candle at this topping range. I'm not really too convinced that there is much bullish hope. But I guess if you wanted to see some kind of bullish hope, start closing above like 30,700. Really, technically, you'd want a day to close above 31,161. If you're a bear, just keep making lower daily closes as well. But we just had that, man. I think if this was yesterday, I would have said close below here, and it'll look bearish. Well, guess what? We closed below there, and we might be, as of right now, we might be coming back up, testing this area as resistance. So, I don't really know, man. I guess to further verify that it's bearish, you'd want to close below these highs here at 29,500. That's the next area. But really, man, we already tested this a couple times. I think when we come down here, we're not going to hold this as support. I think we're going to go down to the next kind of area, which would be around 28.5, actually, a whole thousand. We're going to probably make a move very fast down to about this area here. Maybe today or over the next coming days or week. But I do expect it's going to happen. And just with the way that all this looks, with how quickly we came up, I would expect that we're going to come down quickly too. So probably actually within the next couple days, maybe within the next few days. I would say within a week, but that feels like, just looking at it, feels like it might be too long. But maybe a week from now, I don't know. Hard to say. Time is hard. Price is easy to guess. Time is hard to guess. But ultimately, again, just to kind of wrap it up, I do think that we are going to go same price target, man. It hasn't changed. Anywhere from around 28.7K to 27.1K. And I think, truthfully, we're going to go closer to this 618. That's my expectation, and maybe even below it. I didn't think that at first. I really did think we were going to hold the 382, but just with the way that this is all unfolding at the moment, I think there are a lot of people that bought this top, man, which means that as we move down, there's going to be a lot of people to sell this drop. It's just going to give more buying pressure. So buying tops does not make for strong hands. It really does not. It can. There's a lot of stubborn people out there, but there's a lot of skittish people too. So that's my thoughts for Bitcoin, I guess. Let's look at the 3-month. We never actually look at that. If you like the video, leave a thumbs up, subscribe. You'll see more. You can see more without subscribing. You can see more without liking. You can leave a thumbs down and still come back and watch these videos. But I really do appreciate it whenever I get new subscribers and thumbs ups. It's nice, guys. It's really nice. I appreciate everybody. Thank you so much. From top to bottom here, measuring this fib. At the moment, we're not really in an area that's really too critical. We could come back down to, again, around 27.3. In fact, doing something like this where on a 3-month basis, let's see, we're at the beginning of this 3-month. I would expect that within this 3-month candle here, so we're on a 3-month candle now. It's July. That means we have August and September. Okay, so by the end of September, I bet Bitcoin's going to be around 40K. I bet it will. But sometime this month, sometime in July, I bet we go below the 382. We probably wick below it, and then ultimately come back up above it. That's, at the very worst case scenario, we're just going to move sideways again. But until September. But I don't see that happening, man, because we've been moving sideways for the past few months. So I don't know if we're just going to keep doing that. I think we're ready. We're already showing signs that we're choosing a direction. So. The only thing that's kind of concerning is there's no volume. But again, it doesn't need it. We're not at a point necessarily where it has to come in. If we break these highs and the volume comes in, it'll look fine. So I'm not too worried about it right now. But yeah, with all that being said, I think that's it, man. I think that's all I got for this one. So take care, everybody. Have a good night, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye bye.